humanitarian crisis.
Milhares de venezuelanos estão fugindo de uma crise.
Humanitarian crisis.
Humanitarian crisis.
Humanitarian crisis.
The country's economic crisis has turned into a humanitarian one.
That is a term of art. It's a terminus technicus. You use the term humanitarian crisis as a pretext to advance humanitarian intervention.
The American military to intervene, not with guns blazing, but with food for everybody. Is that it?
Correct. But the humanitarian aid would have to be secured by guys with guns.
There is hunger in Venezuela. There is zozobra, a level of insecurity. You do have a humanitarian crisis in Yemen. You have a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. You have a humanitarian crisis in Syria. You have a humanitarian crisis in very many African and Asian states, but not in Venezuela. I went to many supermarkets, and I never saw the empty supermarkets that I had seen in the press before going to Venezuela.
The impression that you got from the headlines and most of the articles was that people are really, there's mass starvation there. And there isn't anything like that. And they showed the pictures along with headlines about, I think the Wall Street Journal looks at the headlines something like Venezuela is starving.
La campaña mediática contra Venezuela empezó desde que arrancó la revolución bolivariana. Inmediatamente ya los medios empezaron a criticar a Chávez. Apenas llevaba elegido 2 o 3 meses, que ya lo estaban tratando de dictador, ya lo estaban tratando hasta de Hitler. Tratar de provocar o bien una revuelta interna, una sublevación interna, popular, un golpe de Estado militar por un fragmento de las Fuerzas Armadas o una intervención extranjera.
Bueno, es que efectivamente lo que estamos viviendo en Venezuela trasciende el momento y la situación venezolana. Son mecanismos que se han implementado en otros momentos y en otros países. Son mecanismos que además, digamos, se activan cuando se siente la amenaza de la consolidación de un modelo alternativo al sistema capitalista.
Obviously, the comparison to Chile is so much more explicit than Chile, because by preventing them from borrowing, the strategy is explicitly to prevent an economic recovery so that people there, someone there, will overthrow the government.
Nixon, already in September of 1970, called in Henry Kissinger to tell him that it would not be tolerated that in Latin America an alternative economic and social system could take hold, and therefore the policy would be to do everything in the context of an economic war to make the Chilean economy scream.
How socialism in Venezuela has affected a once prosperous nation.
Did socialism cause Venezuela's hell? Of course.
It's because of this socialist free-for-all.
Socialist economic model.
Socialist utopia.
This is not a failed socialist state, Catalonia. This is socialism.
Socialist Venezuela.
This is the socialist dilemma.
This is the socialist utopia they promised all of us as Venezuelans?
was it socialism? I don't think so, because actually during that period, the vast majority of the jobs created were in the private sector. And they didn't come anywhere near, say, France, which has 55% of its GDP is government. And so that was much more socialist than Venezuela.